Hello, World History students. This is Mrs. Politsky, and I have your notes for Chapter 11, Section 2, Mongols and Chinese Culture. So, we talked a little bit about the Mongols, or the Yuan Dynasty, in Section 1, but in our first item here, the nomadic Mongols were able to build an empire by conquering much of Asia. Mongols' social system changed under Genghis Khan. Genghis Khan being kind of the father of the Yuan dynasty, because before him, many of these Mongol tribes were really independent, but after Genghis, all these tribes were really united under what they would call the universal ruler, the Khan, so to speak. In this modern day and age, with the advent of DNA testing for maybe your genealogy, what they're finding is that in a good portion of Asia, a lot of people have ties, DNA that's very similar to the Mongols. So when you talk about the power of conquering other nations and kind of blending culture, the Khans, be it Genghis or Kublai Khan or others, certainly they were a force to be reckoned with. Anyway, historians again refer to this period as the Pax Mongolia. Anytime that you see the word PAX, Pax, it usually means peace, kind of a Latin term for that. Sometimes you might hear about the Pax Romana, which is usually known as the Roman peace that happened a little bit before this era of time. But the Mongols, for the most part, were able to stabilize things here, but part of that was because they were a very powerful force to be reckoned with. Anyway, the Mongols ruled peacefully, ensured safe travel, primarily along the Silk Road. They also secured some trade routes. Not only does this stabilize this group of people, but it also economically makes them a wealthier people. And number 4, China changed under Mongol rulers of the Yuan dynasty because Kublai Khan, or sometimes known as the Great Khan, the grandson of Genghis Khan, aimed to conquer all of China, and he used artillery, which is basically using the gunpowder, in some cases catapults, to attack fortified cities. He was also the first foreigner to rule all of China. Who was Marco Polo? You probably have all heard of Marco Polo, especially if you've been down to the swimming pool. But Marco Polo was an explorer from Venice. This is roughly about the time of the Middle Ages, kind of moving towards that time of the Renaissance. But he traveled from Italy, or what would eventually be Italy, to China via the Silk Road. And unlike some of the people who traveled down that path, he actually journaled about it, and he wrote about his travels. And eventually, that diary that he would write would be published, kind of encouraging other folks to travel that same path. And number 6, the Yuan dynasty declined and finally ended when a power struggle occurred after the death of Kublai Khan. And the Yuan dynasty failed to maintain a strong military and to manage the flooding of what is known as the Yellow River. Yellow River, also in China, is known as the Hanghe, very similar to the Missouri River when you talk about the sediment, the amount of topsoil that kind of travels down the river. Needless to say, once that happens, we're going to have a new dynasty come to power. Thank you very much.